Hi, I'm Vareen, a curious explorer of the intricate landscape of the human mind and behaviors, and you're now listening to the Ink Thoughts podcast, where I unravel the mysteries behind the incongruous thoughts that pepper our everyday existence. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ink Thoughts podcast. Hope everyone has been doing well. So, today we're going to talk about something I guess deeply relatable but often being overlooked, the trap of always waiting to live. Are you holding off on your dreams, happiness, or purpose for the right moment? Let's unpack why that happens, why it holds us back, and how to reclaim the present. So, first thing first, does the following thought sounds familiar to you? I'll travel the world once I save enough money. I'll start working on my dream career once things calm down. I'll be happy when I achieve XYZ. This mindset is what we call the waiting game. It's the tendency to delay living fully until some external milestone or condition is met. While it feels practical or even responsible, it often becomes an endless loop of postponement. The truth is, there's never going to be a perfect time. There will always be bills, challenges, and uncertainties. We can't fully escape from it. If we keep waiting, life doesn't pause. It keeps moving, whether we're ready or not. When I try to reflect on this, the first thing that comes to my mind is what the grandparents used to say. They say, I'll wait until all my children or grandchildren have grown up and when things are fairly settled, and then I'll travel and see the world. But oftentimes when this finally happens, they're a bit too old to do so. Of course, they probably come from a very responsible angle, but life is theirs after all. When things are now settled, they are no longer able to walk far or travel far due to being physically unfit as they age. So that would lead us to the question of, is it worth it then? And then now on to ourselves. It is definitely a good habit to save money. Sometimes when we encounter something not strictly a need, somehow in between a need and a want, we tend to compromise, don't we? But sometimes it might be worth thinking whether we should loosen that for a bit, just so you're making yourself living a comfortable life, which in turn could increase your happiness or even your productivity. So, why do we all fall into the trap of waiting? The reasons are often rooted in fear and societal conditioning. First thing first, the fear of failure. Waiting feels safe. It lets us avoid taking risks or facing failure head on. We humans are hardwired to avoid things that makes us feel uncomfortable, and failure is one of the obvious ones. Perfectionism is the next. We tend to tell ourselves we need the perfect plan, perfect timing, or perfect conditions before we can act. But the reality is you never feel something is perfect enough until you start tweaking it along the journey. And the scarcity mindset. We believe we don't have enough time, money, skill, or energy to start now. But that would never be enough, to be honest. And cultural pressure. Society often ties success and happiness to milestones like, getting a degree, buying a house, or reaching a certain income level. We tend to internalize these narratives and believe that we are not ready until we meet them. But when would we know that we are ready enough to, start doing something that really matters to us? Now, let's try to think about what this mindset causes. We lost time. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into years, and before we know it, we're looking back wondering where the time went. For instance, most of the time when we say time flies, we really mean it. Look at this, we are now at the end of the year. I'm glad I've completed quite a number of things throughout the year, and really glad that I just forced myself to do it instead of waiting. And we can never turn back time, so don't just sit there and wait. Try to do something. You thank yourself afterwards. Believe me, research also shows that people tend to regret inaction more than failure. The what ifs linger much more longer than the sting of trying and not succeeding. Take a second and reflect on this. I bet you probably could easily think of something or an example of yourself lingering around the what ifs. Also, when we tie happiness to future achievements, we miss the joy that exists in the here and now. The waiting game robs us of our most precious resource, time. And time is equal for everyone. Everyone has the same 24 hours, and time just goes forward. It won't stop and it won't turn backwards. So here's the kicker. The perfect moment we're waiting for, it rarely if ever comes. So now, how do we break free from this cycle then? Here are 4 actionable steps you could try to start living your life today. First, define your priorities. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Write it down. Whether it's traveling, pursuing a passion, or deepening relationships, clarity is the first step to action. If you don't even know what you want, what actions are you going to take, right? Then, start small. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Take small, consistent steps towards your goals. Want to travel? Then research destinations or start saving plans. Want to switch careers? Begin with the course or a side project, and then you reframe your fear. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what if I never try? Fear of inaction can be a powerful motivator. Then you find joy in your journey. Life isn't about reaching a finish line. It's about the experiences along the way. Celebrate the small wins, the progress, and even the challenges. Enjoy every single bit of it. And now, treat your daily life seriously. We tend to have this mindset of, waiting for the right time to live our life, and so we don't necessarily pay enough attention or being mindful enough in our daily life, especially all the small things in our lives. For instance, eating well and healthily for each meal. Ensure you get a good sleep. Make sure you do something small each day to make yourself happy. We only live once for each second in our life. So no matter what we're doing, try to immerse ourselves into it and do it wholeheartedly if you can. Because in that way, you're probably gonna be enjoying it much more. Which a lot of the time, when you're in the flow of doing something, you genuinely feel happy and satisfied. Most importantly, give yourself the permission to live now. Don't wait for someone or something to grant you that permission. It's yours to claim. As we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Life isn't a rehearsal. It's happening right now. There's no perfect time to start living fully, but there's always this time, this moment. What's the one thing you've been putting off that you could start today? It doesn't have to be big, just one step to break the cycle of waiting. Remember, the future you're waiting for begins with the choices you make today. Thank you everyone for joining me for this episode today. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need the reminder to stop waiting and start living. And if you're enjoying these conversations, don't forget to subscribe for more insights and stories. Until next time, take that first step and keep moving forward. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed it, do like and share it with your friends and family and drop me a comment on YouTube. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a review. If you're on Spotify, please rate my show. Alternatively, any questions or feedback, feel free to email me at hello@incthoughts.com or send me a private message on Instagram, Facebook or Twitter with the username of IncThoughtsPod. Thanks again and catch you all next week.